Good morning, everyone. Welcome, and thank you for joining us today. Just take a few more minutes, let a few of the last few attendees join in with us. Thank you for taking the time to be with us today. Appreciate it very much. All right. Before we get into the actual heart of the presentation, we have a little. There we go. A little technical difficulty. All right. Before we get into the heart of the presentation, I want to take a moment and remind everyone of IBM's disclaimer as it relates to the information we will be sharing here today. IBM reserves the right to change the release date and planned features. And we at RPRWyatt would like to add that we believe this information to be accurate and reflects the latest information as shared by IBM. All right. I believe we've satisfied the attorneys. I think we can now move on. All right. Please allow me to introduce today's presenters. Today we have Alan Forbes, Vice President of Product Management at RPRWyatt. He's joined by Heather Hottenstein, Director of Support Services at RPRWyatt, and myself, Jim Engel. Allow me to review today's agenda for you. I'll be speaking briefly on RPRWyatt and who we are. Alan will address Notes Domino's recent history, and Heather Hottenstein will take the dive into the Notes Domino roadmap. Finally, Alan will rejoin us again and cover monitoring Notes Domino with VitalSigns. All right. Allow me to begin. RPRWyatt has offices and teams in all of these locations. We have development services in Boston, Phoenix, France, and India. Our IT center plus support and consulting services are in Texas and Slovakia. And finally, sales is handled out of both Phoenix and Monaco. Okay. Out of these offices, we provide services, support, as well as products. Very briefly, our services include custom development. Custom development has been a foundation service for RPRWyatt. Since 1999, we've been providing new customer solutions or enhancements to existing applications to enterprise organizations like HSBC and AT&T. We certainly work with Notes Domino applications and are delivering awesome solutions currently on that technology. We can also develop apps in Angular, Mongo, jQuery, and a number of other leading technologies. On the consulting side, RPRWyatt offers in-depth organizational assessments, including health and infrastructure audits. We get organizations ready for or assist with their migration or upgrades. Our support services include Level 3 administrator support designed to guide or assist administrators at the highest level. We also offer Level 3 technical support. It's incident-based and it's geared for those emergencies that require the next skill level to solve. Okay, on to products. We include 3. Essential tools. We kind of think of essential tools as the Swiss Army knife of admin tools. It manages ACLs, it's managing template inheritance, it's identifying unused databases and unreferenced mail accounts. Essential tools actually saves time and really saves money. I can give you great examples of that. Essential Agent Master. Agents are the crown jewel of Domino workflow. Agent Master monitors 35 different attributes of the agents to make sure they are performing the magic as it's intended. Finally, VitalSigns, our premier tool for monitoring and reporting. Of course, VitalSigns was originally designed for the Notes Domino world and now includes monitoring of all leading technologies in acknowledgement of the hybrid IT world so many of us live in these days. All right, Alan Forbes will cover VitalSigns monitoring and reporting later on during this meeting. All right. We have a little offer for everyone today on the webinar. We think our products work great together as a standalone software solutions, but when combined, we really think they have the power to transform an organization. Since our products perform at their peak when they are combined, we're giving you a chance to do just that. Whoops, I apologize. If you sign up for a single product evaluation before 2017, you will receive 3 free 1-year product licenses of your choice. All right, we call that the software trifecta. All right, at this point, I will pass on. I want to thank each of you for your time, spent with me and listening to me. And we will now hear from Alan Forbes and Heather Hottenstein on the Notes and Domino roadmap. All right, Alan.
All right, thanks, Jim. I think you have a potential career as a professional narrator. It sounded really good there. So before I jump into this, I just want to emphasize this awesome deal that Jim has put together, that if you do an eval, you can have 3 licenses and with no strings attached for a whole year, which is a pretty cool offer. That's not something we've done before. So, you know, the big question that is on everybody's mind, and, you know, honestly, it's been on our mind forever, is Notes dead or not? You know, I've been doing this for 20 years, and I'd say for at least the last 10 years, there's always been this little whisper in the background, hey, Notes is dead. You know, is Notes dead or is it not dead? And I think, you know, IBM has really muddied the waters. I don't know if they even knew what they were going to do with it, whether it was going to be dead or not. And, you know, they removed the Lotus brand. I still call it Lotus Notes in my head, and when I'm talking to my colleagues sometimes, and you know, the branding has been, let's say, inconsistent, I guess, at best. Even just around the trade show in Orlando, that we never know quite what to call it, and there's always rumors of whether that's going to be the last year we have that show or not. And yet, year after year, the show goes, and thousands of people show up. So clearly, as far as customers are concerned, it is not dead. But you know, when version 901 came out, which was over 2 years ago, you know, 902 never really materialized, and we never heard any plans about a 10 version. And you know, way back when version 6 was the hot, cool thing, they pulled J2E out of it and announced that that was actually going to be a whole nother product, the WebSphere. And some of the other products have migrated over to WebSphere, like Same Time and so forth. And there's still some question about, you know, where does Notes fit in this whole big picture? And you go to the Lotusphere / IBM Connect event, and a lot of the sessions are about, you know, Verse or about connections, or the opening general session is not really so much about what's new in Domino Designer, but you know, IBM Analytics or some other thing. So it's very confusing to know what's going on here. And Heather, I got a little star there for you. Want to just share your little?
Yeah, so back in the early 2000s, I worked for a major cancer research hospital. And at the end of 2004, the writing was on the wall that they were going to be moving away from Notes and Domino and moving towards the Microsoft platform. And I took a very serious look at myself, and I decided that I wanted to stay in the Notes and Domino world. And when I made my official announcement in the organization that I was moving on, and I was asked why I was moving on, and I did state, because I am more tied to technology than I am this organization. That actually filtered all the way up to the CIO, and the CIO personally told me in an elevator that I was a fool to move on and continue pursuing that technology because it's dead, and it's going to be gone within the next year or two from the entire world. So here we are, 12 years later.
His company is the one that's dead now, isn't it?
The CIO might be dead.
Yeah.
Well, it's actually worth mentioning, too, that in that organization, you know, while they did move away completely on the mail side, on the application side, they still are using for some of their main apps that run their business on Domino. So they haven't gotten away from it.
And Slap. Jim, you can advance the slide. So everybody's scratching their heads, you know, what? Sort of fuel on the fire that the rumor mill is always spinning around, and you're getting career advice from people who have their opinions about where IBM Domino is going to go and whether it's going to be around and whether companies should continue to invest in it or not. And we are focused on the IBM market here, so we talk to administrators, literally every day. Jim probably talks to 100 a week, if not more. And, it's basically been left to you guys to, read the tea leaves and make a prediction about, whether IBM is going to be committed to this and whether your organization should, stay committed to it, and whether you should build more apps for it, whether you should, upgrade your servers, and whether you should buy third-party products and all that stuff. Do we modernize our existing apps? Do we move them to something else? There's a lot of confusion about sort of where it's going and what to do going forward. But finally, IBM came out with some very clear direction. And my good friend Heather is going to walk you through this bit.
Okay. Okay, so
my enthusiastic friend.
It is very exciting because,
yes,
like I said previously, I'm committed to this technology, and so I was very happy to see that the vendor is actually putting forth some solid direction here. So ultimately, what we have, what came out, basically in the late August, early September timeframe this year, is that first of all, IBM has said they are committed to Notes and Domino for the next several years. With regards to the Domino 8.5 server and client, that support is going to continue until September of 2018. Now, with regards to 8.5, it pretty much is frozen code. And so at this point, there is no active development happening on 8.5. There's no features, there's no fixes really happening. The only place that I could see potentially that happening is if there was something like another poodle attack, like we had 2 years ago. So something major like that that could rock the integrity, security of the Domino system, that is where I could see IBM putting in some type of emergency fix. But other than that, there is no active development. With regards to 9, IBM has said they are committed to 9.01 through September of 2021. So that gives us a long time to really think about having Domino around. And with regards to that September 2021, that's right now just kind of an endpoint they took, kind of like the Mayans took 2012 for the end of their calendar. No, the Earth did not end. It just was just a stopping point for the time being. And that's kind of where IBM is on 2021. It's what they've said right now, but they also have added that it will most likely be extended. So don't think of 2021 of, oh, I've got to be off of Domino by then. No, it's just right now.
That depends on all of you guys.
Yeah, it's just the roadmap goes up through there. So overall, we've got some great direction. And with regards to 9.01, let's talk about what's going on there and some of the real details of what's been discussed. So Jim, if you want to advance, please. And one more, please. Okay. Okay. Let's go back one, please. All right, perfect. Okay, so this is a slide that IBM has put out, and overall it is announcing, or it's putting forth a lot of new information with IBM's direction. So overall, IBM is moving to a new release model and timeline. And just like we're discussing today with Notes and Domino, IBM will be announcing at Connect 2017 details around the future plans of SameTime, which will be a similar strategy. So first of all, the version name of 9.01 is going to stay around for a while, but don't let that confuse the overall commitment, because the software industry as a whole is moving away from version numbers. Version numbers are expensive in terms of branding, and they're also time-consuming. So by moving to this new release model, this is going to allow for faster development cycles, more frequent published updates, and reduce cost. In terms of IBM and their plans, they're going to be releasing feature packs of 9.01. And those feature packs will include new software fixes and also new features. Current plan is for those to be released every 3 to 4 months. Just like the current fix pack model, these are going to be cumulative. So like, for example, a feature pack 9 will include all of the stuff that was in 901 fix packs and feature packs prior to version 9. Okay? Also, these feature packs are going to, at least the first 4, are going to include all of the new features and fixes that were originally slated for 902. So basically, within the next year, we will be getting all of the stuff that we were looking forward to seeing in 902. And on these slides, you can see a high level, or on this table, you can see a high level of the features that IBM is looking to incorporate and the estimated timelines. Of course, these are not concrete, some may change, but also what I really want to emphasize here is IBM is looking to expand what is listed and what they're currently looking at. They're still doing research and still putting together solid plans. Like, for example, a couple that I've heard of is possibly storing view indexes outside of the NSF, so your database space is no longer being consumed by view indexes, making backups faster and easier, things like that, because who really needs to back up a view index? And then also API access to the ID Vault. And that one really has me excited because it allows for third-party tools to have programming options to access that ID Vault. Another piece of the roadmap here in terms of development is with regards to the templates. A little bit of a different model here, or release model, in that the templates are going to be a separate download, and those will coincide with every other feature pack. And so for the first 4 that have been announced in terms of feature packs, the templates will be released with feature pack 8 and feature pack 10. Okay? So moving on to looking at some of the actual pieces of the Domino infrastructure and what we have to look forward to and some of the information that IBM has put forth. First of all, we have the Notes client. And that is, for those of you that like using the Notes client or use the Notes client, you still have that ability. It is viable. It's not going anywhere. You get to keep it. In terms of the operating system and platform support, for the most part, that is staying the same through the 901 system. So, for example, those of you that are diehard Macintosh fans, you're going to get to keep using the Macintosh client. Unfortunately, right now, there are no plans for Windows 64-bit client. All I can say with regards to that is keep banging that drum. Talk to your IBM rep. When you're at the trade shows and you have developers' ear, tell them how much you want Windows 64-bit, because I know we all want it. We're clamoring for it. And maybe we'll see it. But unfortunately, there's no commitment there yet. Also, IBM is still technically supporting XP. And Microsoft ended that XP support a while ago. And IBM has said that they do plan on officially dropping that. So in one of these feature packs, it will probably be listed that XP is no longer supported, or on their list of supported platforms, XP will no longer be there. So if any of you still are running XP, definitely recommend that you upgrade to something else if you want to continue upgrading your clients to the new feature packs. Okay? And then on a similar note, let's talk about the Domino Server. Overall, same as the client, you like your Domino Server platform, you get to keep it. You get to continue using it. And so throughout the 901 feature packs, the plan is, by IBM, to continue releasing feature packs for all of the currently supported platforms. Now, what IBM has said is that moving forward, they have strategic platforms. And those strategic platforms are Windows, Linux Red Hat, and AS400. Okay? And what that means with regards to a strategic platform is that if there is a new offering that comes out, like, for example, a new add-on with Domino, that will only be offered on these 3. And ultimately, that really isn't so much of a difference or a change in direction from what they've done before. Like, new offerings may only come out on Windows initially. and then based on feedback and also interest level, they may port to the other platforms. It's just now IBM saying new offerings will be available on these three. But of course, that's subject to change as well based on how the markets respond to it. So we'll just have to wait and see from there. But I also have heard that Windows 2016 is definitely in the pipeline. So Domino will definitely be supported on that moving forward. Okay. So then another piece of the IBM Domino world that a lot of us still use, we live and breathe in, is Domino email. And whether you call it Domino email, you call it Lotus Notes mail, you call it Notes mail, whatever, it's all the same thing. And ultimately, the big takeaway here is that Domino mail file, the NSF, that is still viable. That is not going away. That is going to stay the back end on the Domino server. And what IBM is doing here is giving you different access points for accessing that NSF. The picture here is a little outdated in that the Notes browser plugin that is changing because overall the web browser industry is moving away from plugins. But there's a new offering there. I'm sorry, I can't remember the name off the top of my head. But you still do have that there, that technology. But ultimately, like I just said, the Notes client itself from a platform perspective is still very viable, and from a Domino mail perspective, you can still use your Notes client to get to your email. You also have the tried and true proven iNotes client. So for those of your users that like to use a web browser to get to their email, they absolutely still have iNotes. And then finally, with regards to Domino email, while I don't have it as a bullet on this slide, the mobile mail efforts continue to move forward very strongly, and they are a main focus of IBM. They realize we are a mobile world, and definitely a lot of new stuff coming out with both Traveler and IBM Verse on the devices. Okay. So as Alan said, Verse is one of these things that's kind of confused a lot of us. Those of us that are very dedicated to the Domino space are like, okay, what is this IBM Verse? What does it do? How does it work? Why is it encroaching on, IBM's message? Is it going to take over Domino? And, it's just a lot of confusion there and a little bit of panic, I guess you could say. But overall, what IBM has now said is, don't be scared. IBM Verse is just another, basically, mail client. It's another way of looking at email. And what IBM's direction here is, with regards to this new thinking of email, is to make email more like a person. So, traditionally, like within the, within Domino Mail, and I think you see this with a lot of mail clients, whether it's Gmail, Yahoo Mail, Outlook, whatever, is it's very organizational, and it's structured. So, and that's really with the folders. So, like, for example, if I want to find an email that was with my client called Widgets, and I know it was related to a certain project with widgets, I may go to my folder structure, look at my clients folder, under that go to my widgets folder, and under that go to that particular project folder to find my email. So for those of us that are not very organized and don't think that way, Verse is more search-based. It's very good at searches. So, you just think about the actual information you're looking for, and you put in some keywords, or you put in a date value, whatever, and it goes off and it finds that information for you and presents it in a really nice fashion. So just a different way of looking at email. Now, how that comes into the Domino world is that, first of all, while IBM has been, up until this year, a cloud-only offering, it is coming on-premise in December. So what that means is that for all of us that like to have our email in our own data centers, we now get that option. IBM has also said that they are committed to making this an affordable option for existing Domino and Connection shops. So with your existing licenses of those platforms, you will be provided an entitlement to use Verse on-prem. For those of us that are using Domino, Domino 901 FixPack 7 or above is going to be required, And if you want your user experiences to include both their email and their connections data, then the connections 5.5 files and profiles need to be deployed. But my understanding is that they are not actually required. So if you do not use connections in your environment, then you're not being forced to go that way. Okay? And ultimately, the takeaway here is to just think about IBM Verse as another way of accessing that back-end Domino mail database. Very similar analogy is your users today, that when they're sitting in their office, they use a notes client. And then when they're at home, they use iNotes. They're looking at the exact same back end. The UI is pretty similar, but there are a couple of nuances and differences here or there. And with IBM Verse, it's just another GUI. It's just another way of looking at that same back end. So I really like this because IBM, a lot of the ambiguity and scariness around IBM Verse, in my opinion, has been removed. And I think we have a really nice marriage of the two, in that you get to keep using Domino, but if you want to give your users another option, you do have that. Okay? And another exciting adventure with regards to clients is, of course, Outlook. And you know, for over 15 years, especially for those of us that have been around for a while in this industry, you know, we've been seeing IBM flirt with Outlook. You know, they've gone down a lot of different paths. And, I mean, why have they done that? Well, let's face it, people like Outlook. And I really don't know why that is. Maybe it's because it's what they use at home. They have a higher level of comfort with it. Not sure. But overall, whatever that reason, you also have to think about the end user. And ultimately, if they want to use their Outlook client, they just want to use it because of how it looks, because of how it works. They really don't care what's going on in the back end. So what IBM is doing here is they're really making a solid commitment to that Outlook client as a supported mail client of the Domino server. And with Project Hawthorne, they really have, in my opinion, they've hit that mark. And so what it allows you as an administrator to do is it allows you to give your users Outlook, making them happy. And then as Domino administrators, we get to stay happy because we still have the Domino server's live console. We have those log files that we understand, and in my opinion, a lot of ways are easier to navigate and move through. And all of the other administration offerings that, as Domino administrators, I think we'll say are superior to Exchange. So in a lot of ways, that's a win-win. Also, you know, just in thinking about migrations are expensive. And to keep your infrastructure on the same back end and just change out your UI, that's a huge cost savings to an organization. So overall, to use the Outlook client going against a Domino server, first of all, you do need to have Outlook 2010, 13, or 16 on the client side. On the server side, you need to have Domino 901. And then there are two plugins. One is on the mail server, where you put in a plugin for the mail server so that the Outlook client can talk to it, and it can talk back to the Outlook client. And secondly, on the workstation side, there is a plugin that gets added. So what that does for the Outlook client is when you are doing configuration of a new account service, you see IBM MailSync as an option. So overall, like I said, the takeaway here is just, you know, with regards to everything I've discussed, that there is some solid direction. We've got timelines. We have our platforms. There's some information there. We got to keep our platforms that we've always used. And with regards to emails, we have more access points for our users to give them what they need so that it works best for them and best for our company or our environment. So a lot of exciting things going on with the planned future of Domino and some great new stuff. And with that, I'll turn it back over to Alan.
Thank you, Heather. Very nicely done. Scott, would you go ahead and run one of the poll questions? And Alan, would you like to get ready for a presentation on VitalSigns?
Yeah, you just change the presenter over to me, Scott.
Yep, I'll do that, but let me get the poll done first.
Yeah, okay.
All right, so let's do a poll question here to get everybody's fingers exercising on their mouse this morning.
Wake up.
Help wake up.
Time to wake up. All right. So the first poll question is: what features cause your organization to stick with IBM Notes/Domino? And so you can select more than one. We'll see what actually comes out in first place here. So we're getting a lot of votes already. We're over 50% of us have voted.
Wow.
This is good.
They're still awake.
They are. Here we are. All right, we're over 80%, so I'll give you 3 more seconds to click a mouse button or two, and I'm going to share the results here. So 87% say, hey, we're staying with Domino because of existing applications, 52% because of security, 39% because of workflow, and 52% cost of change. All right.
That's a cool feature.
It is. That's nice. All right. I'm going to switch the presentation over to you, Alan.
All right.
And I'll let you know when we see your screen.
Main screen. All right. Does it show the dashboard?
Yes, we see the dashboard.
Awesome. So thank you for that, Heather. That was really good. You know, one of the other things that muddied the waters, I think, a little bit was when Ed Brill moved on to greener pastures. I used to rely on his blog quite a bit to know what was going on with IBM. And when he departed, nobody really picked up the torch. So, you know, Heather ran through all that information really quick, but that took a lot of research, actually. And she, you know, she goes to like every IBM webinar and stays on top of, you know, all the fix pack stuff, and she really knows what's going on. So I really appreciate that, Heather. Thank you.
You're welcome.
So I'm super stoked that IBM has made this commitment, because obviously, you know, my career has been on the similar path as Heather's, where people periodically say, you know, what are you doing? But we have here at RPRWyatt, you know, we've been IBM partners for longer than I've even been here, 15, 20 years, or what? I don't even know what it is, Jim. It's certainly been a long time. And we've been doing VitalSigns for 8 years or so. And, you know, in the same way that IBM has recommitted to their platforms, we are doing the same thing. So I know most of you that are on this webinar today came from our list, so you probably have seen VitalSigns before. This is what VitalSigns currently looks like. It is a browser application that lets you, you know, monitor the whole IBM stack of Domino servers and connections and WebSphere and same time and so forth. And we've got all kinds of you know, metrics and ways to show you different information about what's going on with your Domino servers, and we are particularly good at monitoring Traveler, which is a, you know, mission critical lifeblood kind of app in a lot of companies. And in fact, the good folks at IBM even added a feature for us which allows us to query out the Traveler status code reasons. So if the server here is red, you can actually find out why it's red when you go into the Traveler health page. So I totally appreciate that. We've got metrics around, you know, disk health and memory and CPU and disk space and pages that are dedicated just to specific platforms, so just a Domino health and just a WebSphere health and same time health and so forth. But what I'm excited about to tease this morning is the fact that for, you know, several months now, I don't even want to say how long we've been in the process of doing a major rewrite of VitalSigns, and I'm showing it today for the first time. This is what our dashboard looked like before, and this is what our dashboard looks like today. It got a, you know, the world is constantly moving. The expectations for a browser application keep getting higher and higher, and people expect things to be mobile. So it seemed like a good time to just step back and say, okay, what do we want to focus on? How do we want to position this information? And we are making a major investment in it, and as far out as IBM says they're going to be supporting Domino, we certainly are going to be doing the same thing. One of the nice things about our new look and feel is that it's designed from the beginning to be responsive. So here's what it would look like on a mobile device, and it just totally, resizes, and the menus work just as well mobile as they do on a full-scale browser, and it's pretty exciting. So our strategic platforms, just in the same way that IBM has said, we're going to call some of the platforms that we are not going to focus on. We've gone through the same exercise, and we're focusing on the IBM family of collaboration software. So we have pages now for Connections Health and Domino Health and Same Time and Traveler and so forth. Since this is a Future of Domino webinar, I'm going to just show you the things that are related to that. If you're familiar with VitalSigns, you'll see that most of this information is stuff that we have had before, but it's gotten a significant upgrade in terms of look and feel and how responsive it is, and even the way that we do the code under the hood is in support of the same thing that IBM is doing, which is, rather than coming out with major releases, we anticipate that this could even be our last major release as well. And we'll go to the fixed pack model, and we'll keep coming out with new things quickly. And we've designed our whole, development team and infrastructure internally to make sure that we can do that. Let me show the Domino Health. Looks like this, and we've got screens for Same Time Health and the Traveler Health and Connections Health. We're pretty excited about that. I know a good number of our bigger companies have started to embrace Connections. So Connections is something where now what we're hearing customers ask for is not so much does it have enough disk space, but are people using it? Where are the communities that are active, and who are my internal champions that I can promote and encourage, and where is activity starting to lull a little bit? So I might want to just go in there and give people a little rah-rah to keep things moving in the future. So if you had been on the fence about whether to try to convince your organization to stick with Domino, I hope that the presentation from Heather helped reinforce the idea that that's a good idea and that Domino is going to be around, and it is not a risky career decision at all. And I think that should reduce some of the uncertainty around, okay, if we're going to keep it, what do we have to do to keep it tip-top and make sure that it's providing all the value that it possibly can. And of course that is where monitoring tools start to come in. So we've got screens that will show where mail is piling up and which servers are in maintenance and which ones are currently not responding. I know it looks like there's a lot of red there. That's because one of the things that we were testing recently was our server import wizard, so we just pull in all the Domino servers from the address book. So to test that, we had to put in lots of servers in there. So anyway, we're super excited about where IBM is going with Domino, and we are also super excited about where VitalSigns is going. We're sticking with Domino and IBM, and we hope that you guys do too. So,
thank you, Alan. That was very great. All right, Scott, would you want to handle the QA session at this point?
I will, and if we'll just pop back up your screen for one of your slides. That way we have at least something
to look at. It's not like it's blank there.
There we go. Q&A works.
All right.
Perfect. So if you haven't already typed in your questions, now this is a good time to type in a question. We do have 4 or 5 questions already in the queue.
Cool. And keep in mind that we are not IBM, so we are not.
Yep.
So we're not going to make it complex.
To do anything. So we can commit about our direction, but as far as IBM, it's the best of our knowledge. And questions can be about either that or about the future of VitalSigns or any of the other products or the promotion we're doing or anything you want to ask at all.
All right, perfect. Perfect. Here we go. All right, so the first question is, where will the splitting of NSFs into data and indexes occur? Which fits Pat?
Great question. I keep in mind that is just something that's currently under discussion as a feature we may or may not see. And so with that, there really are no, I haven't seen any architectural plans. Don't really know in terms of at a machine level, at a byte level, how they would divide that. But just conceptually, I kind of look at it potentially being kind of like the full text index. Just understanding the underlying architecture of the Domino server. So, just like today, you have the NSF that, maybe 100 megabytes in size, and then you have a full text index that's sitting out there as a completely different file structure that's maybe 15 megabytes in size. And so I could very easily see that type of extrapolation occurring to store the view indices. So the view indexes would be stored in a similar model. So they would no longer be under the NSF model. They would actually be stored in a separate folder structure.
And if I was going to speculate, I would speculate that they might try to put it into a DB2 database because they've toyed around with those kind of things in the past, and that keeps it all in the family.
Yeah, it's possible they may resurrect that idea. Absolutely. So no real certainty yet, but just some speculations there.
Okay, perfect. Thank you.
Great.
Next question. One of the issues that is making me consider moving away from notes is the max size limit for an NSF. Are there any plans to change the max size?
Okay, so max size is something that, has always kind of, at least in recent history, has baffled me as well. Because, IBM officially will put out there, there is no max size. We go by what the operating system has. But we all know that when a database, hits about 1 million records or 64, or actually I even see it about 40, 45 gig, it just starts acting very flaky. And so that's where, as a best practice, tend to try to keep databases, like, for example, I deal a lot with mail archives, and, those mail archives can get very big. And so I try to keep those under about 30 to 35 gig, because, like I said, over that, they just become unmanageable. As
35 gig doesn't go as far as it used to.
No, it doesn't. That is true. So anyway, ultimately, I honestly have not heard anything with regards to that size management.
We feel your pain.
Yeah, we feel your pain, and I hope it is under consideration. I will look into that. It's been a little while since I've looked into specifically sizes, database sizes, but I don't know of anything off the top of my head. I haven't seen anything come out in the recent announcements.
Okay. Okay, here's an easy one. When will the new release of VitalSigns be ready?
That is definitely going to be Q4 of this year.
All right.
In fact, we're going to let some of our, existing customer, bleeding edge kind of folks test it out as soon as we possibly can.
Alan, I will remind you that this webinar is taped. Okay, and recorded.
Yes, that's how he gently kicks me under the table. We're pushing it as hard as we can.
Okay, so as soon as possible. That's good. Okay.
It's close. I wouldn't have showed it if it was, a year away.
I'm excited.
Next question is, will you be sharing your slides after the meeting? Another easy question. Okay, perfect. Well, you've requested that.
It'll be posted on the website too.
Okay, so great. So everyone, you'll receive an email post event, and you can
put a link to where the slides are, or something like that,
etc.
Yeah.
Okay, another question here, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to read these just to make sure I understand everything before I say it. So, is there going to be a new Android iOS app with the new version that can send push notifications, etc.? I'm assuming that's for Traveler. Maybe if we can get a
Well,
clarification.
actually, on the Android, we now, I mean, it is handled through the Traveler server on Domino, but on the Android client side, it's actually, the app is called IBM Verse that you download out of the Google Store. But I'm sorry, can you say that question again, Scott?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Oh, the clarification came in. She's actually specifically, excuse me, not she. Sorry. I'm making an assumption here based on the first two letters of the name here, so I apologize. No, it's specifically about VitalSigns. Will there be a new Android iOS app, or is it just?
Oh, yes. We do have a whole new architecture in our back end that we're going to more web APIs. So building a mobile app will be an order of magnitude easier. So in the same way that we're refreshing the whole, front end UI, we'll do an update on that as well. Thank you for that reminder.
Yep. All right. Perfect. Okay. Next question. Has IBM mentioned anything about providing new access options to Domino applications in the same way they are providing access to existing mail via Verse?
Okay, so with regards to that, for the applications, the new version, I apologize, I cannot remember the name of this off the top of my head, but there is a new a new change from the browser.
Browser thingy.
Yeah, that browser thingy. So you are going to have some new technology around that from a web client perspective. And I think ultimately that's and also X Pages. I'm sorry, I forgot about X Pages. Oh my gosh. Yes, there's a lot of new changes coming around X Pages, and I think it's version Java 8 that is going to be officially supported moving forward. So in terms of taking your existing Notes applications that have always worked really well in the Notes client, porting those to the web and making them have the same features and functions. You have X Pages, a lot of new changes coming with X Pages in terms of the Domino Designer capabilities, what will be available there, and then, like I said, also the Java 8 support.
That's big, actually.
So, of course, it's giving it to the web client, and that is, I think, overall where you see the industry go. All applications are moving to that thin web browser client.
All right, perfect. Here's another easy question. This is from Pam. So Pam, more likely this will be handled offline too, but we'll have Jim follow up with you. The question is, do you have a recorded webinar of essential tools?
Yes.
We're actually working on that. We have one, getting an update. It's, yeah. Actually, we were supposed to do that last week, and time just got away from us. So yes, we will be working on that here very soon.
There'll be a very fresh new release coming out. Exactly.
Yeah. Perfect. Okay. Here's not necessarily a question, just maybe it's a common sentiment. The main issue, because this is from Bogdan, so I apologize if I do not pronounce the names correctly here. The main issue with Lotus Notes technology is not supported by a number of specialists anymore. So poor IBM marketing developers and admins are moving away, and companies can't find admins, developers of and the kind to do work, because they don't believe it's the future. So the good news for you, Bogdan, is that our RPRWyatt does offer services as well. So in your GoToWebinar control panel, I've actually uploaded a handout for their services. So they are one of the few companies that still offer Domino services. So if you need them, they are ready to help you. So I apologize, that became a shameless plug, but since I'm the host, I can do that.
Thank you.
So RPRWyatt, you don't have to say anything. It's just I did the plug for you. All right. So just everybody should be aware of that. There are a couple of handouts in the GoToWebinar, the one about VitalSigns and one about their services. Okay, here's a good question, probably going to be for Heather. Do you have any experience using the dedicated view threads, and are they stable?
I will be quite honest. No, I do not have experience, but I would be more than happy to look into it and speak with the person that's asking that question.
Okay.
Me neither.
Perfect. So good. Hey, well, you're not going to be bored this evening then. And I know Heather, and that's going to stick in her mind now until she finds the answer. So, Rodney,
Yes.
you'll be expecting an email.
Relentless.
Yeah, Scott, if you can hand that off to me in terms of who asked it and give me the question, I will
Yep.
definitely follow up.
Yep, we will do that. And then we're getting down here towards the end of the list, and then we'll do one last poll question before we end. So how are companies convincing management to invest in Lotus Notes these days?
Jim, I'd love for you to take that question.
Yeah, I was going to say, let me answer that, please.
On that all
okay.
the time.
Yeah, it's the most amazing thing. We find organizations that constantly tell us that, and I think Heather alluded to a story early that Notes is dead and it's not anything we want to do. And the organization, I go on site to the places and they say, no, we're really not doing Notes. I walk around, I look at the screens, and I say, what are those little rectangles on those? Oh, those are our business critical applications, and we need to keep those. We can't move them. So how are they reselling? I don't know how they are continually proselytizing for the solution, but what I see is organizations can't let go of the solution. It's so embedded, intertwined with their productive aspects of their organization, they can't rip it out. What they come to us oftentimes is they have abdicated, maybe they've let development slip internally and they don't have the QA people and they don't have the teams, and they come to us for enhancements, improvements, or even new applications. We're doing new manufacturing applications right now. I myself have just added a new full-time developer, and we'll be adding another 2 new full-time developers. So one of the ways I see it is we're producing still in the area for the clients that are really using it and really maximizing the benefits and receiving the benefits. We continually see demand for it. IBM and other people have not always paid attention to that demand, has been my impression, because they're always about new seats and new licenses, and I understand that. That's their metaphor, and that has to be their metaphor. Ours, we serve the client that is using the tools at the time, and we try to maximize that experience. And we found that plenty of organizations still doing it, plenty of organizations still want it, and really value it.
So actually, if I could add my 2 cents here, if that is something you are facing internally, use Jim as a resource, because he's got 2 kinds of stories. He's got positive stories, like the fact that we can't even keep up with custom notes development, so he can give you case studies of other companies that are actively investing in Domino today and having success stories with it. And the other category of story he has is sort of colossal failure stories of companies that have made the decision, hey, we're moving off Notes, and off they go, and a year later they're coming back saying, man, that didn't work out the way we thought at all, and can you help us bring everything back? So, both kinds of stories can be influential sometimes. So use Jim as a resource. He really is awesome.
I'll share this tidbit, is that mail is somewhat of a fungible asset these days, and it's a commodity. Okay, people will in mail, but what we find is that though that happens, and organizations look at flipping their mail, and they do very often, maybe to the cloud or maybe to another on-premise platform, and then they look at their applications and they try to make that effort to make that change, and they diligently try. They invest in very high-end stuff, or they invest in a lot of new people, and they come back to us either via the assessment process when they made the assessment, or subsequently after they tried to do the enactment process. They find out that they only can get 80%, if they're lucky, of the functionality they had in Domino, and they go, why make the flip? Why make the change? It's financially inappropriate. It's the right incentive, the right results are not there for them. So they realize that they're going to wind up in a bifurcated world, many of them, in what we call a hybrid world, where they're living with some platform for mail, and they're staying on their Domino for their solutions and for their internal needs. All right. I do have, Scott, may I ask, is that the last question?
There is one more question. The question
Fire
is,
that off and
how much do you see X Pages being adopted, or is it kind of dying?
Well, it really depends on the organization. You see some organizations that are adopting it, and they really, they're doing a lot of development around there. And then you see other organizations that they couldn't even spell X Pages if you asked them to. It really depends on the environment, and their applications and also where they're looking to take their applications. So I honestly, I don't have I don't have any real solid metrics or more of a solid answer there.
No,
it's
my
just
sense is
so
that
individual.
it's not the slam dunk IBM hoped it was. That it takes a certain level of developer to really leverage it and not.
And that is true. It's not the true rapid application development that, pretty much anybody can just, create an NSF and play around with formula language and create some views and forms. XPages is definitely a completely different level of thinking and skill set. And so if you want to go in that direction, you typically are putting in a sizable commitment. And that's really for a larger company that has a large number of complex databases.
Yeah. I've also seen it be leveraged for preparing applications for the web, for webification of an app.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. And that's pretty much the biggest thing you see it is, exactly. Making those applications function and look very similar to how they do under Domino, or very, what I call web sexy. They look really nice on the web.
There you go. All right, thank you, Heather. Yeah, exactly. Nice plug, Al.
Web sexy.
All right, in closing, allow me to share just a few quick pieces of information with everybody, folks. First, I want to remind you of our software trifecta offer. Sign up for a single product evaluation before the end of this year or before 2017 starts and receive 3 free 1-year product licenses of your choice, EAM, ET, or VitalSigns. Alrighty, appreciate that. Other thing I wanted to mention is please visit our new website, RPRWyatt.com. We'd be excited to have you there. And, of course, you can sign up for the trifecta offer there, the software trifecta offer at that site. Finally, the very last announcement, I want to thank you everyone for attending today. And please look forward to our next webinar, which will be on December 15th, also a Thursday. And on that webinar, we'll be covering IBM connections. So hopefully more of your IBM faithful will continue to attend. Please look for that announcement, and thank you so much for today. If there's anything we can do for your organization or for you, please just go ahead and contact us at info.rprwyatt.com. Thank you very much. Thank you for your time today.
We hope to see you in San Francisco.
Yes. See everybody in San Francisco in February.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Perfect. Thank you very much, Jim, Alan, and Heather.
You're very welcome. Thank you.